Imagine an extraordinary ship, top-notch in comfort and design, the RMS Titanic. This ship was more than just a boat, it was proof of what humans can create. Made in Belfast by the well-known shipyard Harland and Wolff, the Titanic was a prime example of the technology of its time. Every bit of this gigantic ship was designed with care and precision, down to the tiniest detail. The Titanic was like a plush hotel on water, offering its passengers a unique travel experience. From the magnificent grand staircase to the opulent first-class rooms, it was a display of wealth and grandeur. It also had modern amenities like a gym, swimming pool, and a Turkish bath, providing ample comfort to its passengers. But there was more than just a luxury liner. It showcased ship design and technology at its finest. It was the largest ship afloat at the time, a fact that left many in awe. The Titanic was equipped with the most advanced technology, including a wireless telegraph system for communication. One of the top features of the Titanic were its watertight compartments, a design meant to keep the ship from sinking. The safety of the ship was so trusted that it became a part of its identity, a symbol of human triumph over nature. The Titanic represented a vision of a future where technology and luxury can coexist. A ship made to dominate the seas, it reflected the spirit of its era. This vision seemed to become a reality for a while, but as we all know, it didn't last. The tale Titanic is a story of human aspirations, advanced technology, and ultimately, a poignant reminder of our limitations. The Titanic was a microcosm of society, carrying people from all walks of life. On board were wealthy socialites, savoring the finest luxuries the ship had to offer. They dined on exquisite meals, danced in grand ballrooms, and slept in opulent suites. Their experience was a stark contrast to those in second and third classes, predominantly hopeful immigrants seeking a new life in America. Their accommodations were humble, yet for many still superior to what they left behind. Among this diverse mix of passengers were the dedicated crew members, tirelessly ensuring the smooth sailing of the gigantic vessel. From the engine room workers shoveling coal into the fiery furnaces, to the stewards attending to passengers' needs, their efforts were the unseen backbone of the Titanic's operations. Everyone aboard the Titanic had their own dreams and hopes, oblivious to the impending disaster. But as we'll learn, the tragic night of April 14, 1912, would forever change their lives and the course of maritime history. The night of April 14, 1912, started like any other on the Titanic, but it soon turned into a nightmare. As the evening descended, passengers and crew alike were unaware of the impending doom. The ship, touted as the unsinkable, was about to face its biggest challenge. As the Titanic sailed through the calm waters of the Atlantic, an iceberg loomed in the distance. Despite the efforts of the crew, the ship struck the iceberg. The impact was devastating. The supposedly indestructible hull of the Titanic was breached, and water began to flood into the ship's compartments. The severity of the damage was catastrophic. The ship, once considered an engineering marvel, was now fatally wounded. The unsinkable Titanic was indeed sinking. Despite the ship's advanced design, the damage inflicted by the iceberg was too severe. The watertight compartments, designed to keep the ship afloat in case of an emergency, were overwhelmed. As the reality of the situation dawned, chaos ensued. Evacuation procedures were initiated, but they were marred by confusion and fear. The lifeboats, designed to carry a fraction of the ship's total capacity, were woefully inadequate. The women and children first protocol was enforced, leading to heartbreaking separations of families. As the ship began to list, distress signals were sent out into the night. The desperate SOS messages echoed across the Atlantic, a grim testament to the unfolding tragedy. But help was too far away. The nearest ships, upon receiving the distress calls, rushed towards the Titanic, but they would arrive too late. In the cold, dark waters of the Atlantic, the Titanic, once a symbol of human achievement, was now a symbol of human tragedy. The unsinkable ship was sinking, and with it, the dreams and lives of many of its passengers. The night of the disaster had begun as any other. but it ended in a catastrophe that would be remembered for centuries to come. The sinking of the Titanic was not just a maritime disaster, but a human catastrophe. The aftermath of the tragedy was felt far and wide, its ripples reaching the furthest corners of the globe. More than 1,500 lives were lost in the icy waters of the North Atlantic that night. Fathers, mothers, children, friends, each one an individual story of dreams unfulfilled and lives cut tragically short. The impact on families was immense. Many lost their sole breadwinners, others their beloved children. The world mourned, but the world also demanded answers. Investigations were launched on both sides of the Atlantic. In America, the Senate convened a special inquiry into the disaster. In Britain, the Board of Trade, responsible for British ships, held its own hearing. The inquiries found a multitude of shortcomings. The Titanic, despite being hailed as the most modern ship of its time, was woefully ill-equipped to deal with the disaster. The ship had lifeboats for less than half of those on board, largely due to outdated safety regulations that failed to keep pace with the scale and speed of maritime development. The Women and Children First Protocol, while noble in intent, left many lifeboats launched with empty seats, as men were often not allowed to board. The ship's crew, meanwhile, had not been adequately trained in evacuation procedures, adding to the confusion and chaos on that fateful night. Responsibility was scattered among various parties. The ship's owners were criticized for their focus on luxury over safety. The ship's captain, for his decision to maintain speed despite iceberg warnings. The regulator, for its outdated safety standards. The sinking of the Titanic was a wake-up call. It was a stark reminder of the hubris of man, the belief that we could build an unsinkable ship, that we could conquer nature. It revealed the stark realities of class divisions and the human cost of negligence. The Titanic disaster shook the world, prompting a re-evaluation of maritime safety measures. The lessons learned from the tragedy continue to influence maritime practices today, a poignant reminder of a disaster that should never be forgotten. The Titanic disaster has left a lasting legacy in the annals of maritime history. It was a tragedy that shook the world, not just for the sheer loss of life, but also for the stark truth it revealed about the consequences of human hubris, complacency, and the overlooked loopholes in maritime safety measures. In the wake of the disaster, it became abundantly clear that there was a dire need for comprehensive reform in maritime safety regulations. The world realized that it was not enough to build grand ships. It was equally important to ensure the safety of those who traveled on them. One of the most significant changes post-Titanic was the introduction of lifeboat drills. Never again would passengers board a ship without a clear understanding of lifeboat procedures and evacuation routes. The Titanic had lifeboats, but the lack of drills and a clear evacuation plan resulted in confusion and chaos during the crucial moments of the disaster. Moreover, the tragedy highlighted the need for better radio communications. The Titanic did send out distress signals, but the lack of a standardized international distress signal and the limitations of radio technology at the time hampered rescue efforts. Therefore, the establishment of the International Ice Patrol and the adoption of the SOS signal as the standard maritime distress signal were direct outcomes of the lessons learned from the Titanic. Another important reform was the establishment of the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, Convention in 1919. SOLAS was the first major international treaty concerning safety at sea and has been updated numerous times since to reflect changes in safety requirements and technology. The Titanic disaster serves as a stark reminder that even the greatest human achievements are not immune to the forces of nature. It underscores the importance of not just technological advancement, but also of foresight, preparedness, and the courage to learn from our past mistakes. In the end, the story of the Titanic is not just one of tragedy, but also of change and growth in the face of adversity. More than a century later, the story of the Titanic continues to captivate us. The wreck site, resting at the bottom of the North Atlantic Ocean, has become a time capsule, revealing secrets about the ship and its final hours. Modern technology has allowed explorers to delve deeper into the wreckage, unearthing artifacts and piecing together the ship's tragic story. These explorations have brought to light new details about the ship's design, the iceberg collision, and the desperate attempts at evacuation. They've also helped debunk myths and correct misconceptions surrounding the catastrophe. In many ways, these discoveries are adding new chapters to the Titanic's story, reminding us of the human lives intertwined with the ship's destiny. The Titanic, a ship of dreams turned disaster, remains a poignant symbol of human ambition, tragedy, and resilience. It serves as a stark reminder of our vulnerability and the indomitable power of nature, even in the face of human ingenuity. Before we close, we want to encourage all Titanic enthusiasts and history buffs out there. If you're interested in learning more about the Titanic, we have an exciting recommendation for you: the video Ghosts of the Unsinkable Ship. This documentary dives deeper into the mysteries surrounding the Titanic, exploring personal stories of the passengers and the crew, and the lasting impact of the disaster on their families and the world. The Titanic's story is far from over. As technology advances, so does our understanding of this monumental event. Each new discovery, each artifact recovered from the depths, adds another layer to the narrative. It's a reminder that history is not static, but a continuously unfolding story that we all have a part to play in. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time, as we've explored the dream, the disaster, and the enduring legacy of the Titanic. Your interest and support help keep these stories alive, creating a bridge between the past and the present, and ensuring that the lessons learned are not forgotten. As we sign off, let's continue our quest for knowledge. Be sure to check out the Ghosts of the Unsinkable Ship and delve into the depths of the Titanic's. Click on the link below and start exploring now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating videos. Let's continue to explore history together, unveiling the mysteries and understanding the stories that shape our world. From the depths of the ocean to the farthest reaches of space, there's always more to discover.